Russian analyst predicts the decline and breakup of the United States of America. I want you to listen closely to this and tell me how much you feel is accurate. A leading Russian political analyst has said the economic turmoil in the United States has confirmed his long-held view that the country was headed for collapse and will divide into separate parts. Professor Igor Pandaran said that in an interview that he said the dollar is not secured by anything. The country's foreign debt has grown like an avalanche. I don't know why they would say that. Just that we had $10 trillion in debt just a few months ago, and then in 90 days we added another $7.5 trillion. He said even through the early 1980s there was no debt, but by 1998. When I first made my prediction, it had exceeded $2 trillion. Now it's more than $11 trillion, and we just added yesterday the $7.5 trillion. This is a pyramid that can only collapse. The paper said his dire predictions for the U.S. economy initially made an international conference in Australia 10 years ago, at the time when the economy appeared strong, but has been given now more credence by this year's events. When asked when the U.S. economy would collapse, he said, quote, "It is already collapsing. Due to the financial crisis, 3 of the largest and oldest 5 banks on Wall Street have already ceased to exist. Now 2 are only barely surviving. Their losses are the biggest in history. Now what we will see is a change in the regulatory system on a global financial scale. America will no longer be the world's financial regulator." When asked who would replace the U.S. in regulating world markets, he said 2 countries could assume this role. China, with its vast reserves, and Russia could play a role as a new regulator in Eurasia. Asked why he is... Let me tell you something. It's going to split up in 3 ways. It's going to split up. The world is going to split up financially. There's going to be Asia, Europe, and North America. When asked who could replace the U.S. In regulating, it would be China and Russia. Asked why he expected the U.S. to break up into separate parts, he said, quote, "A whole range of reasons. Firstly, the financial problems in the U.S. are only going to get worse. Millions of citizens have lost their savings. Prices and unemployment are on the rise. General Motors and Ford are on the verge of collapse. This means that whole cities will be left without work. Governors are already insisting and demanding money from the federal government. Dissatisfaction is growing. At the moment, it is only being held back by the elections and the hope that Obama can work miracles. But by spring, it will be clear there are no miracles." I'm telling you, this is exactly what we have been talking about on this program. He cited the vulnerable political setup. The vulnerable political setup. The lack of unified national laws. It's not unified laws. It's the unified enforcement of those laws. The divisions among the elite, which have been clear in this crisis condition. He predicted that the U.S. will break up into 6 parts. Ooh, well, let's see, where do we want to live? The Pacific Coast with its growing Chinese population. Now, the Pacific Coast, I'd like that, but not if Chinese is the Chinese population. I mean, not if it's being influenced by China. Nah, I can't live in California. The South with its Hispanics. Oh, well, I didn't know you had Hispanics in the South. The South also has Disney World. I'm pulling for the South. Texas, where independence movements are on the rise. Gee, over in Russia, they understand the independence movements that are happening in Texas. But have you heard that on any, Stu? Have you heard this from any other person in America about the independence movement in Texas?
No, you're an exclusive secession source. Congratulations.
I'm just wondering how the guy overseas over in Russia picked this up. The Atlantic coast with its distinct and separate mentality, you can have the Atlantic coast, 5 of the poorer central states with their large Native American populations, and the northern states where the influence from Canada is strong. He even suggested that we could, this is Russian speaking, we could claim Alaska. It was only granted on lease after all. He's a professor at the Diplomatic Academy of the Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs. He's authored several books on information warfare. So, okay, so we have New China would be the West. We have New Canada, which would be the North. We'd have the center of the country would be poor Indian town, I think. Is that what that's basically what he was. Then you'd have Texas all by itself. Then you'd have around Texas, but not all the way to New China, or all the way east to the distinct mentality coast. You'd have New Hispanicville. All right? So your questions are New China. Where do you want to live? New China, New Canada, poor Indian town, New Hispanicville, distinct mentality coast, or Texas? I'm going for Texas.
Is there any doubt?
I think I'm going for Texas. I'm going for Texas.
I will say New Hispanicville is nice. New
Especially
Hispanicville,
this time of year.
It really is. You've got at least, I would see that he doesn't explain how Florida will be divided. So you don't know if Disney is going to be in a distinct Atlantic coast area or in New Hispanicville.
No, it would have to be distinct mentality.
They get the whole state? I think Tampa
coastline
would probably be doing New Hispanicville because it would be on the west coast of Florida. So like maybe New Hispanicville
the West Coast is New China.
No, that's the west coast of the country. I'm talking west coast of Florida.
But that's the west coast of the East Coast. So if it's the west coast of the East Coast, it should be distinct mentality coast.
No, but that's the west but it's the west coast of the peninsula.
Is New China.
Yeah, but the south is New Hispanicville.
But it's also a coast.
Yeah, but they didn't say all coast had to be in the Atlantic coast. They said the Atlantic coast. That's not the Atlantic coast. It's the Gulf Coast. The Gulf Coast would clearly be a New Hispanicville.
All right, so does New Hispanicville then, because you have to have the dividing line someplace, does New Hispanicville get like the Magic Kingdom and distinct mentality coast get like Epcot?
Yes, I think that's the way it works. It divides right down the middle.
You know that thing that they have? Oh, my gosh. We have been set up. I just realized this. This whole thing has been a setup. Have you noticed that when you go to Disney World and you go to Epcot, what do you need? A world passport. Interesting, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. One currency.
It's
saying.
It's almost like Disney, who of course hasn't been, put up in a freezer where they're just waiting to unthaw him for the New World Order. It's not like he saw this coming a long, long time ago.
It's not like he's really alive pulling the strings or
Seriously,
anything.
Stu, where do you want to live? Where is the best place in America to live? I think we can rule out the Northeast.
Right, but he said the Atlantic coast.
Wait a minute.
If you have the whole coast.
If you were for socialism.
Yeah, we should figure out what government, because I feel like you've got, in the Atlantic coast one, that's probably a socialist government. The Pacific coast, since it's New China, that has to be communist, right?
Oh, yeah. That's Hollywood.
Right.
So the capital of New China will have to be Hollywood.
Right.
So it'll be, it'll be nothing but, it'll be, remember the blacklist? It'll be the opposite of that. If you're not a communist,
then you get kicked out.
They shut you down.
Now, so that's out there. I don't want either one of those. I figure New Canada is probably going to be like Canada Light. You know what I mean? It's going to be that sort of like light sort of socialism.
I don't have a problem with Canada.
Yeah, I feel like you're going to get at least moderate socialism there.
New Canada, remember, also has like Detroit in it.
That's true.
So you've got
the fires.
You got the
keep
fires,
you warm.
Keep you warm. You have all those empty the car plants. It's going to be. Well, this is happy.
What? We have some new choices. What's wrong with? Aren't you pro-choice?
I'm pro-choice. 6 different countries in one. This again from a Russian analyst over in the former Soviet Union, talking about the new USSA that is forming here in America.